Ready for the boss right here. We're ready for the boss. Woo! GG's. Alrighty guys, welcome back for more Path of Exile. So in this episode, what we're going to be doing is acquiring these watchstones. But another thing that I find to be very important is to talk about upgrades. So now our main goal is actually to progress from Lightning Arrow to Ice Shot with Lightning Arrow still in our build. I'll kind of briefly explain it. So what I will also provide is two different builds in the pinned comment as well as in the description box. So I'm going to pop this up on the screen and it's going to have all of the pieces of gear for you. You'll see basically kind of what I have acquired, and there's another one over here. So one was about when I was level 91 and one when I was level 93. The level 93 one is obviously as we have progressed in our character's power, we can get more resources so we can acquire better pieces of gear. Some of the pieces of gear you'll notice that it's exactly the same, but for the most part we're going to be ramping up our damage a lot. So one thing that you do want to acquire, you can still use your older Lightning Arrow gem. However, what we're going to be doing is incorporating it into another 5 or even a 4 link. So what you can do is, if you want to, this is all optional. If you're totally fine with Lightning Arrow, by all means you can still play Lightning Arrow. However, I have respec'd into crit. You can see over here on the website exactly where the nodes are in terms of our passive skills, because a lot of you guys have asked, okay, well, what kind of things have you changed on the passive? If you click right here, link to passive tree, it'll open up the Path of Exile website, and it'll show you via the Path of Exile, like actual game one, where it's a lot easier to see. However, over here, most people that are familiar with the game, you'll be able to know exactly what I have gotten, but it doesn't matter. They're the exact same thing. So just so we have this as knowledge for reference here in terms of our tree. Now, in terms of what we want to do in our build is we're still going to be running a 6 link. Now, I got lucky and I just crafted this bow and got it to 6 link by just using our fusers. So we just used our orbs of fusing on a 6-socketed bow, and we got really lucky. Now, it could take hundreds or even thousands of tries with this, but ideally what you want to do is do it on something that is at least 20 in quality, because it will increase the chances of it being 6-link. But you can also purchase a 6-link bow, and if you are still running your 6-link in your chest piece, that's totally fine too. But it's kind of up to you on what you want to do. Sometimes you might be able to find a good deal on the Path of Exile trade website that has basically what we're looking for is cold and physical damage, because we will scale the physical damage into cold damage anyways. Even though we are still going to be using Lightning Arrow, what we're going to be doing with Lightning Arrow is we're only going to be using Lightning Arrow to apply the debuff on the enemy, which is Shock. So our main source of our damage is going to be Ice Shot now, but we're still using Lightning Arrow in our Mana Forged Arrow setup. Everything that you will want to know will be on this thing over here. It explains on our skills. So on our 5-link setup, this is what we use Lightning Arrow in. So we're using Mana Forged Arrow with Lightning Arrow. With Frenzy, we're running Power Charge on crit and Overcharge. If you don't happen to have a separate 5-link for this setup, you can run a 4-link. You can drop either the Power Charge on crit or Overcharge. It's up to you if you want to go scale crit. Crit generally in Path of Exile is going to be a lot better later in the game, as you just don't happen to have crit earlier in the game, and on top of that, getting items with crit can be a little bit more pricey. So in terms of the passive, we have actually changed a few different things. We're actually getting all of these crit nodes. You'll see that there are some other nodes like movement speed, which we unspec out of. It's up to you what you want to do though, but I would probably recommend you guys to kind of copy this build. Now, if you happen to get something that has relatively high energy shield, like this one has 200 over here, I also had this thing anointed, which gives us extra energy shield. I personally really like getting Ghost Stance. This is a keystone, and it's kind of a major thing. So if you want to, this is optional. It makes it so you can't recover energy shield above evasion rating, but that's fine because we have like, I don't know how many thousands of evasion rating over here. We have 15,000 right now. It'll go up once we have other buffs, but basically we have way more than enough. So every 2 seconds we gain a Ghost Shroud over here, and what this does is makes it so we will actually lose a Ghost Shroud and we will recover energy shield up to 3% of our evasion rating. So shield basically goes on top of our life, and that just regenerates just like in Halo or in a lot of different video games. That's what energy shield does. So that's a mechanic where whenever we would get hit, we will actually be able to heal up, since we have so much evasion rating, because it's 3%, but it's fine. It's just going to go basically up to like 473 because it'll give us our maximum amount. So pretty much what this means is we can take multiple hits from a source and it'll be totally a-okay, because how evasion works is you're just going to take either 0 damage or a lot of damage. This gives a nice buffer if in case you get unlucky and something hits basically 2 or 3 times. It just really helps out with our build. So here's what we're running in terms of our setup. I'll mouse over the things relatively quick, but you don't have to copy these exactly. It's just that, like, I want to start scaling crit. Another thing that you can do if you want to upgrade your gems is you can take a gem that is maximum level, and if you want to increase the quality of it, I can increase the quality of this, and generally you don't want to do this unless you're like super rich, but I'm just going to use one of them here. And what it would do if I was to use one Gem Cutter's Prism, it will give me an extra 10% to critical strike multiplier. However, that will only upgrade it by 1% per 2 Gem Cutter's Prism. Now, if I take a level 20 over here, and I go to sell items, and I go to any of the vendors, I can put this in with 1 Gem Cutter's Prism, and it will increase it to a level 1, but it will be quality 20. So we basically have to re-level up the whole gem if we want to do it this route. It's optional what you want to do, or you can just purchase these from other players and you can get a bunch of them. It's up to you. I'm just trying to teach you guys as much as I can with Path of Exile. Another thing that's going to give us a lot of damage is Heat Shiver. This is going to make it so we gain cold damage as extra fire damage per 1% chill. When we have frozen an enemy, we basically get to effectively double our damage. It's really good. And so for our 6-link setup right now, I'm running Ice Shot. So I mentioned before, if you want to go into crit, you can. Then that means a lot of your gear is going to want what's called Critical Strike Multiplier and Critical Strike Chance. So you're going to see this time and time in a lot of pieces of gear. Again, it will be linked down below, just so I don't have to mouse over all of them and explain. But pretty much everything that's here is what you want. You want to try to max out your resistances as well. But basically, we're just throwing in Ice Shot instead of Lightning Arrow. That's like the main difference here. And another thing that is quite great to get on the passes, which again will also be linked, we want to get this Cold Mastery over here. It's going to be 4 points, so you put 3 points into this. And then we want the 40% of physical damage converted to cold. So that way, any physical damage that we get is 100% converted into cold, because Ice Shot already converts 60% of our damage into cold, from physical to cold. So another thing that I want to mention that's very important, Vol Ice Shot is something you want to actually acquire. You can't just go to Lily over here and just purchase Ice Shot. You can, but you won't have what's called Vol Ice Shot. This is basically getting our ultimate skill. Let me go and show you guys how fast a map will look. T16 is as high as the game goes. In terms of maps, there are certain other exceptions, but basically this is as high as the game goes. So we're going to go into this map just so you guys can get an idea on how fast the gameplay can actually look with Ice Shot and kind of how we're playing. So this is Vol Ice Shot. You can purchase this off of another player. It's going to be like 1 Chaos Orb unless you're looking for a higher level one. So I'm just going to go and pop this up. So we're typing Vol Ice Shot, and you can see exactly how much this costs. It's probably like 1 Chaos Orb at this point. Okay, so it's like I got 1 Chaos Orb. However, you can purchase it at level 20 if you want to. We can do a gem level, type in the word 20, and just bam, there you go. And you can see it's 9 Chaos. So I recommend buying this. To get this as a drop, good luck. It's not like super, super rare, but it's just not going to be something that you can just go in and get like in 2 seconds, because it's random. But anyways, let's go ahead and just hop right in. I'm also going to activate this Mirror Delirium over here, and you can just see how fast we're killing stuff. And you'll notice if I activate Ball Ice Shot, it's going to summon a bunch of clones of me over here, and you can see they will also fire Ice Shot. It significantly increases our DPS. But while the clones are out, and for a few seconds after, we have to recharge Ice Shot, the Ball Ice Shot. So instead of Lightning Arrow is still in our build. We use Lightning Arrow to actually gain a lot of damage. We got a map over here. Let's go pick that up. So this map is a very, very short one, and we're doing the Delirium mechanic. And also, as Spec into Shrines, I'll show you guys my Atlas passive, and I'll give you some recommendations. I was testing out a few of the newer changes in the most recent update, and I can give you guys some feedback on what I would recommend beginners to play. So I had that asked a couple times, what am I specking into for the Atlas, and I was telling you guys over on my stream, I don't know yet, because I'm just trying out new things, and I don't want to give you guys wrong advice. So once the boss comes out, you'll see we'll kill some stuff, we'll go and collect our loot. And you might notice there's a bunch of items that drop. Here's the boss over here, and we'll basically delete the boss super, super fast. So that's basically Ball Ice Shot in a nutshell. And in terms of our other gems, I don't think I'm running anything new here. I'll just mouse over. I'm running like minion life support on the ice golem because I just kind of got tired of it dying. And it helps out a little bit, but really nothing too special here. We're going to be going over some of the boss fights. But if you're happy with Lightning Arrow, by all means, just keep on playing Lightning Arrow. This is a great website, but if you notice there's a bunch of items like on the ground when I'm just playing the game, and you feel like the game is getting too cluttered with items on your screen, what you can do is download a loot filter. In the very first part, as well as pretty much in all of the parts of the video, I link a video called tools that will help you. This also will be able to scan your items to find out how much something is worth. Because I get asked all the time, Slaydra, what is this worth on stream? And I always try to help you guys because you can link your items in the little chat over here, and you can see exactly what it's worth. I can just hit this and find out, okay, well, it's adding this passive, and you know, this is maybe worth like 30 chaos orbs, or whatever the case may be, right? And so these kind of tools help you out. That one's called Awaken PoE Trade. But anyways, we're going to be going over some boss battles because as you progress in the game, you'll notice that eventually you collect these orbs. We went over it in the previous one where you collect the Maven's Orb, and then there's the Eater of Worlds and Searing Exarch Progress, and you just keep on doing maps, and eventually you're going to get these little pieces, and I'll show you guys what to do with those pieces as it's a big part of our progression. But let's go and cut to that part, and again, check the links in the pin because they'll be very important after the rest of this video because there's still more content in here. So, now that we've done enough of the maps where we did select either the Eater of Worlds or the Searing Exarch, we're going to get these invitations. These invitations are fairly easy to run. There is a upgraded invitation that we'll also be doing later, but these ones are kind of easy. Let's go ahead and show off the mechanic and just hop right in. So we're just going to go ahead and go in, and we have to defeat the Black Star. One of these sides is going to give us some debuffs. There's a fire and an ice side. Depending on which side you stand on, it will kind of erase one of the debuffs. So ideally you kind of just rotate in between them. You can stand behind these pillars. There's a bunch of AoE. That's the move that may be a little bit dangerous, but for the most part this is a pretty easy face roll boss. I mean, this ability can hit pretty hard, but it's only if you're staying in it for a long time. It's a kind of a cool looking boss, but we're like able to tank it. Okay, let's go ahead and end it right now. So, this boss, I want to say, you can absolutely just roll. It's not a big problem at all. Now we're going to talk to the Envoy, and now we're going to be able to do more maps on that side and fight another boss, but there's one of the bosses. So now we're going to do the Rithing Invitations. This one's a little bit harder, so we gotta talk to him. Alright, let's go back now. And that was one of them just completed right there. So now we're gonna do another one, and this is the Rithing Invitation. Both of these, I would say, are relatively easy, but this one actually has a mechanic. This one, I'm actually gonna grab a potion. Hope I got a potion somewhere in here that we can just pop. Just a life flask is what I want. I'm sure I have one somewhere in here. Did I just throw it in this? Okay. Let's throw in one of these instead of the movement speed. I really don't need movement speed. So we're going to go in here. And this boss is actually kind of a threat. So how this boss is going to work is we need to wait for him to kind of jump out. And we just kind of attack him. And he will eventually consume... I'm not going to try to do too much damage because I want to show off the mechanics. Otherwise, I'd be spamming a lot faster. But we won't one-cycle him. We're going to at least let him kind of consume us here. I'll get him a little bit low. But so once he's in this form, he's going to be popping up. And, oh, well, he didn't pop up that time. Wait for your stuff to regen. There he is. He popped out. So we'll do some damage to him. So once he consumes you via this, like, ooze over here, you're going to go into a different area. And this, oh, hold on, hopefully we didn't kill him. Okay, I want to get consumed by it. So once he sucks you down, you're going to have to go into this other area. And what you want to do is go as fast as you can because this corrosive stuff will actually build up, making you take even more damage. What you want to do is look for where the water's going. Now it's kind of in the bottom left over here. And when you stand on the islands, you'll be a little bit more safe. But if you don't, you're going to start taking more damage. We can see the portal over on the mini-map over here. But you want to look in the direction the water's going, and this is how you return to the arena. He's a little bit harder because of that reason, but overall, I mean, Once he pops out, okay. Sometimes he just refuses to pop, and if he refuses to pop, yeah, it does a pretty good amount of damage. We actually had our ulti up. Our ball eye shot was ready, but it's fine. The whole point is to trying to show you guys the mechanic, which is the most important thing. But we defeated him. He's relatively easy. I could have one-cycled him, and some bosses in Path of Exile, the mechanic is just to do so much damage that you don't actually do the boss mechanic. But nonetheless, they're pretty easy. Those are the two smaller bosses. There's going to be another set of bosses that we'll be getting. Now we're going to get some extra Atlas passives. But now we're going to keep on doing more maps. And you'll see that in order to do these, I think you have to do at least... okay, so I think at the very beginning it doesn't require you to do like 13 or higher. I think it eventually will require you to do maps that are 13 and higher, so you can actually advance, but we'll cut to that once we get to the other ones. You're just going to keep on slamming out maps. I believe it's at 14 you'll get the first set of invitations, and then at 28 you get the other ones. You can do the same map over and over again. It's not like Maven where you have to mix it up and you have to do different bosses, then you go and fight in a gauntlet. This one, you can actually farm these and sell the invitations as currency, but the first set you're going to want to do because it's required to progress your Atlas. But these are there's basically 4 other bosses here, 2 on each side, and then Maven has its own set of bosses, and then Maven's boss, there's also the Shaper, and we'll get more into that later, but that's how you do these 2 bosses. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the harder bosses. We got a guy that shoots out meatballs, and another boss where we have to be touching these little like balls, otherwise we're going to take massive amounts of damage. So just like the previous one, I would suggest you guys to have a flask over here, because it really helps out. So we're going to remove the speed one. I think the fire one's easier, so to get these, you just keep on doing more maps and you make sure this is selected. It's supposed to take you 28 maps, I believe, to actually get these. They also will be granting us watchstones. And if you want to, if you have room on your build, you can actually throw in some ballistas and it'll basically block an attack, but that's fine. We have good movement speed, so it shouldn't matter too much. So this is going to be the Searing Exarch.
Defiance ends here, hatchling.
The Atlas must remain mine.
Alright, so we're going to do some damage now.
Disintegration.
Kind of whenever he starts talking, I'm going to just move a little bit.
Annihilation.
And just shoot, move. This one's pretty easy, I would say. There's one move where we got to like run to the corner of the map. And he eventually does do that move.
Annihilation. Disintegration. Cleansing.
See, this is a pretty easy boss fight.
Annihilation.
There will be the hard part coming up soon. You don't want to stand in those. So when he does that, you want to run until you see it pop. Then you go back. Oh my god, we survived this. This is the part that actually becomes hard. So you want to look for the gap in the meatballs. So there's the gap in the balls. There's the gap right there. There's a gap right there. There's a gap right there. Sometimes it can get kind of hard though. Obviously. There we go. Didn't touch any of the meatballs. Okay, so now I'm going to try to do the DPS. I just want to make sure I can show off that move. Oh. Okay.
Disintegration. Cleansing. Defiance of 1,000 suns.
Oh! We got touched by the meatballs. But I believe if you wait in this, you can actually be dead and just wait. You can wait it out. Oh. So what you can do, and I'm going to show you guys. So since that phase was done, we can just wait it out. I'm pretty sure you can do this, and you can sit here and you don't take any damage until you activate a skill. But during the meatball phase, if you die, you just wait it out. I'm pretty sure, unless they've patched it, that you can just avoid that whole like thing if you just take one death. Oh, we can do DPS now. Probably should move just a little bit. Fortunately, that was the time where we had our ice shot. Okay, ready. So now we have the Void Stone, Corrupt Shield. So now what we got is a favorite map slot. So in addition with that, you can get more Atlas passives. So let's go ahead and go to Kyrak, get another Atlas passive. So what these do, these Void Stones, we're going to be able to open up our Atlas. That's so where we can see all where the maps that we completed, and we're going to put this inside, and that's going to make all of the maps go up in tiers. So instead of it being like tier 1, 2, 3, and then well, it's supposed to be like 4 or 5, it's going to level them all up. So this is 4 or 5. So it's going to make all of your maps eventually be at a higher tier. So then you can get higher tier maps, because before there would only be a few that would be on tier 16, right? There's only like a silo over there, but now a lot more of these will be upgraded, so you'll get like more of the maps will come into the pool in terms of it being a late game. But there's still one more boss, so we're gonna do the other boss now. So we're gonna throw in the Screaming Invitation and do this one. Okay, so this boss has a different mechanic as well. So basically, he shoots out tentacles. Don't get hit by the tentacles. As soon as you see him move, come out, you usually want to move. But usually you can shoot once and move. Those tentacles shouldn't kill you, but there's like a bigger slam. There's multiple. Those will kill you. There's the big tentacles right there. There's a bunch of balls that will come out. Eventually he'll do this move. I'm waiting for him to do it. Oh, that one right there. It's the big one. Okay, so when he does an escape will do, you have to stand in these spheres until they do a little light. Oh, we didn't stand in it. He also shoots out a laser at you during this whole duration. It's a very overwhelming boss the first time you like see it, because you're seeing all of this, but you have to light them up. If you don't, you will die. Basically, if you don't hit all the lights or the little spheres within the time, you're pretty much dead. But that's the only thing that will usually get you killed. I mean, sometimes you might die to something unlucky, but that's kind of like the mechanic. So he's doing the same thing again. There's a giant laser that follows you, but the laser won't kill you, like instantly. It will, like eventually. Okay, there we go. But if you want to take like several life blasts for this, that's totally fine. I just need like at least one though. It really helps out. Or you can run like 5 if you really want to. We should be able to get him down on this little rotation here. Drop his bow. Oh, we got actually 2 of like their items that they can drop. I'm gonna swap back to the Quicksilver Flask. And just like the other one, you're going to get another Void Stone. And if you're wondering which one you should do first, I would suggest the fire one. If you're like having trouble with the fire one, then maybe try to do that one first. And if you're failing to it, eventually you can get another Void Stone. It's not the end of the world. You just have to do more maps and you have to select them. But this is going to upgrade it. And now to get the other 2, it's going to require us to do other things. Doesn't tell us. Okay, it tells us one of them is to defeat the Elder in the Shaper's Realm. The other one is the Maven. So those are the other two that you can acquire. And then while you're completing a bunch of these different objectives here on the left, you're going to be able to select a favorite map slot. So some maps, they only open up once you get a certain amount of the watchstones in. So what a favorite map slot is, it's going to have a higher chance to have that map drop. Like, let's say I really like the Glacier map, or whatever map that I really like, I can select it and it's going to have a higher chance for that specific map to actually drop, which is a nice little thing. So you can add more of these. My face is kind of blocking it, but you'll get more of these as you keep on playing the game. Some of these have some requirements to go ahead and do, but these aren't like the end all be all. The most important thing is trying to get your watchstones, and if you have trouble on these bosses, you can invite a friend, or you can just spam like the chat and you're saying like, I have trouble, can someone help me? Sometimes people will just help you out. But talk to Kyrak, he'll give us the other thing, and just for funsies we can see these items that we got. They're both pretty bad though, in terms of like what they are actually worth. I thought this one was kind of cool because you had a chance to gain a frenzy charge for each enemy you hit with a crit, and then you would lose all your frenzy upon reaching maximum, but the next attack that we fires that many arrows. I think there's a way to get like your maximum frenzy charges, and there's a way to basically get a bunch of extra arrows. It was kind of a cool theory, but more than likely someone's gonna just get a bow like what we have, which has like triple LE, or I guess it has 2 elements, and then it has like physical, and you can convert the physical to cold damage, so it's basically gonna have a lot more damage than what this could potentially offer. But those are the 2 bosses over there. Eater Worlds and Searing Edge Arch, and the other small ones defeated. Alright, so congratulations if you defeated those bosses. They aren't super easy, so don't feel too discouraged if you die. You can just keep on slamming out more maps. Make sure you select this if you happen to fail them. It's totally okay. It's your first time playing the game. Some of these bosses, the first time I played them, I died to them many times as well. But I also promised you guys the Atlas. This is what I'm running. If you want to copy it, feel free to go ahead and do so. What we're spec'ing to is shrines as well as delirium. That's a little portal that I enter, and then basically we can get a bunch of these delirium orbs, and then we can sell these for a couple chaos a piece. They're actually very hot, especially if you sell them in like a large quantity. It's just a fast way to get currency. But that's kind of like your main goal towards the end of the game, is just getting all these different forms of currency. But that's going to pretty much wrap up this part. In the next part, we're going to go over some other bosses, and we're going to collect even more of these watchstones. And once we get 4, pretty much the game is almost over. I mean, we've completed 109 out of 115 maps with this exact build. There's a couple that we'll have to do, and most of them I just need to basically get the map. They're absolutely a face roll for this build. Just in general, Bo is so dang strong in Path of Exile. I just always love it. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up. If you guys enjoyed it, drop a like on your way out, and I'll see you guys in the next part. Take care. Peace.